everybody, what's up? It's David Ariev here with iDesign.com and Brograph.com with my good friend Jake Ferguson, who actually I just met for the first time here. He's yet another artist that makes me very upset that he's only been doing this professionally for like, what, 4 years or something like that?
Yeah, just 4 years professionally.
Just 4 years professionally, and yet he's worked with Imaginary Forces and some of the top companies out there and made some incredible work. So you're out here as a demo artist for Otoy. Is this your first time out here with them? It's really cool that like they're kind of partnering with C4D on this one because it's such a nice pairing, you know, with the solo artist and that whole vibe.
Yeah, no, this is actually my first time at a convention in general.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, but also, you know, representing Otoy, and I mean, they're great, you know. I mean, the support from the community and just the intermingling with all the C4D artists and everything, it's fantastic.
Yeah. How have you been liking the old NABs, you know, exploring for the first time?
Great. Yeah. I mean, just seeing all the tech and everything, it's super cool just to see all this kind of innovation. A few people I recognize from LA, you know, a few of the other software designers, I don't know, the AR wall over there is super cool, and like all the Adobe booth was awesome. It's really great, you know. It's good to be around this many innovators and creatives at the same time.
Totally. I didn't get to see the AR stuff. I've been so like blind to the rest of all this other madness, you know. So somebody told me that you got your start at Ringling with Joey Corman as your mentor.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've got kind of an more of an art background as well, right?
Yeah. No, I started as a fine artist, and I mean, prior to going into digital, I had about 17 years of traditional art experience, from painting to drawing, charcoal art, portraits. I did tattoos for a little bit, you know. Yeah, just everything other than digital art, you know. Yeah. So being able to take all those traditional fundamentals and principles and being able to put them into a digital platform, it was incredible.
I'm jealous of that. It totally shows in your art. Like that robot piece that you released, you know, a couple years ago on the Octane Facebook group that blew everybody's minds. Like, I can't believe, so you bring in a lot of other software experience and all of that, you know, fine art background as well. Like, I can't believe you did model that from scratch, right? In ZBrush, the robot dude, right?
A few of the pieces. I mean, most of it was kit bashed. You know, for my art, I have to keep a certain speed to it, or I become just uninterested. Same here. You know, I got to keep it rolling as fast as I can, and if I'm not seeing something within a couple days of coming up with the concept, it usually gets abandoned. And I have graveyards of like hundreds of projects that have never seen the light of day because I'll be working on them for like 3 weeks, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is boring. This is not being fun anymore. So I'll just abandon it completely, which is cool. You know, it's like I hate all my art anyway, so I might as well. You know, it's like there's actually
shut up.
There's only 2 points that I do enjoy a product. It's in the middle when I'm seeing it come together, and it's right when I finish. But anywhere else, you know, I'm not too happy with it, and I'm like, I could do better. But it's good to have that track record and be able to go back and like learn from all the mistakes that I've made. You know?
Totally. So, so after the Ringling stuff, you got hired by Imaginary Forces, and you worked there for how long?
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's worked on the Stranger Things titles.
Very, very minimal. Yeah. Not much at all. Yeah, mostly season 2. Yeah, I made the Arabic version of the titles, and yeah. yeah.
But you said you laid the type for it as well, right? To some degree.
There was a few type layouts that I did and with some of the other designers, but yeah, very minimal. That was mostly Eric to music.
Stop downplaying it. It's so cool, dude. But then, okay, so no, but your real, this project, the Stars Counterpart title sequence, you said you worked on it for like over the course of a year, right? And this project, I had no idea it was your baby, you know, and it blew me away. It's got these super wide scenes with these architectural. I'd like to know more about it, like whether you modeled all the architectural stuff, and well, let's just start there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely modeled all the architecture, and it was such a limited job. You know, we had a very small budget, and it was a really cool, creative, demanding project. And you know, because of the limited budget, the company, like IF, it was hard for them to expend resources on it, you know, so a lot of us ended up working on it on our off hours, you know, and it was a very small team. It was myself, one designer in the beginning of the pitch, a design intern, an animation intern, an editor, producer, and creative director.
Yeah, but you like animated, textured, lit, did all that crap yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, it was helpful with Octane because I did a huge amount of the design in the beginning phases of it. You know, it's like our design phase stretched out over 5 months. And because, I mean, we went through so many different looks and to finally get it approved and everything like that. But, yeah, all the assets that I made in the design phase carried over into animation. And I just had to optimize a few of them, and it just worked beautifully. So the whole thing was animated in about 5 weeks. But because we had all those assets made and everything, you know, the animation was very minimal for the most part. But all the material development and the architecture and everything like that. That's what we spent most of the time on. And the inspiration for the architecture came from Louis Kahn. He was like our biggest source for that, and then also Saul Bass. You know, he did these older posters for forgot the name of the series. It was like Psychology maybe, but it was like these really stunning pieces with these really surreal architectural landscapes with tiny little people in it.
The Beeple's people.
Yeah, the Beeple's people, and like, you know, 70 years ago. It's like really cool to see.
That's
you know?
amazing. Yeah, and I think it tells the story so well. Like, I haven't seen the show, but it feels like it takes place in the past. I don't know if that's true, because it's got this kind of vintage, retro, like sepia tone. And then it also has this really nice symmetry throughout everything. So it feels like parallel worlds, and then there are these people coming towards mirrors, and there are these figures that look like they're about to, you know, merge or touch. And then you've got these, like, the weird what is that? Is that a game? Like,
it's what? Go. Yeah, the game of Go. Yeah.
Right. See, I'm terrible about board games, but yeah, I knew it was a board game. And then so and then the camera sometimes like passes through the mirror. So I'm like, okay, we're moving between parallel worlds, parallel dimensions. So all that storytelling takes place in this sequence and like sets me up for the show so nicely.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I mean, you nailed it. You know, that's really close to what it's about. And I mean, our creative director, Karen Fong, she is just phenomenal. And she was able to just creatively direct this in a way that, you know, it was so subtle and genius that everybody on the team was just like that hyped about it. You know, and I mean, like, we came in like every weekend. We stayed until 1 a.m. every night, you know, to like make sure we got it all done. You know, it's just like me and this intern animating everything. But that intern was also phenomenal. His name's Kyun Nam. And yeah, he and I went to school together, and he's a beast. You know, I think he graduates this year, and I think he's going to make his way out to IF. So that's really good for them, and I'm really excited to get him back in LA.
That's awesome. See, yeah, maybe I'm not so jealous because like I'm too lazy to stay up. I'm too lazy to stay up till 1 a.m. all the time. Like, you've been obviously like crushing it and like, you know, just working your ass off. The last thing I was going to ask about that project, did you use mocap? Was that like Mixamo, or did you?
Yeah, it was Mixamo. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, that project in general, IFLA was kind of unaware of a few like easy techniques that a lot of freelancers are very familiar with because they have to operate in a very controlled environment. So being able to bring those kind of principles to the table, and they're like, "Do you think you can handle this by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Just rip me this box, get me Octane. I'll use Mixamo." It's like, "What's Mixamo?" I'm like, "Oh, watch this," you know. So there was a lot of those moments, and you know, especially using Octane for it because Karen, the creative director, had never worked with it that much. So when she's able to sit next to me while I'm developing materials and changing lights, and I can update it in real time, and I'm like, well, what do you think of this? And she's like, can we do this a little bit more green? And then it like updates in front of her, and she's like, and stop, perfect.
Yeah. That back and forth process is so much faster.
It's incredible. Yeah. So, and I mean, I don't know if you've ever set a flame session or anything like that. Are you aware of what it is?
I know that it's a real-time compositor. Unlike After Effects, it's got that beef behind it so that you can make all those changes immediately. So Octane's like the flame of 3D.
Exactly. So the benefit to doing that, you know, flame sessions are mostly so clients can come and sit at the very tail end of the project and just go through the whole grading process and make sure it's exactly honed in how they want it to. And Octane's the same way, but it's throughout the whole pipeline. And the speed is phenomenal. It's unbeatable.
That's amazing. So, wait, did you just say you used Octane 4 on the project, or no?
No.
Okay, I was like, I'm gonna fight you on that now. That's awesome. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, so what do you have, you know, coming up in the future? What are your plans for the future?
Well, right now I'm co-directing the titles for Off Barcelona. It's really interesting. Yeah, it's with my friend Hibak Lee, and he's a legend. You know, I mean, this guy. I remember geeking out over his stuff when I first started school, you know, and then I met him, and we really hit it off, and we were working on a project together, and then this came up, and I called him, and I'm like, you want to do this with me? And he's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. You know, it was super fun. But, so we're working on that, and we're slaving away on it, but that's going to release around the end of May, and I think it's going to be really stunning.
Can you tease, like, what the concept is for it, or no?
Absolutely, yeah. So, it's based off of twins. So it's based off of the myth of Gemini, for the Greek myth, which is about a mortal sister and an immortal sister. Well, they're males in the myth, but we're doing two sisters. But, you know, I mean, that's a cool device in itself, but we wanted to add something additional to it that we could play on it. So we were trying to make a parallel of media and these two sisters, and originally we were going to do creativity and logic, but it didn't stick too well, but we eventually decided on the medium and the message. The message being the immortal sister, the medium being the mortal. So we do a tour through the evolution of media through like human innovation. So we start off with the letterpress, we move on to broadcast on the screen, and then we move into AI and the internet. So the point is that the medium can consistently die and change and evolve. It's supposed to die, like the death of a phoenix, and from those ashes emerges like a much better technology. But the message, the immortal, the creativity and human ingenuity, that stays consistent through all of time, and like that kind of artistic expression, like the medium itself doesn't matter, it does matter, but it is a tool, it's a device to get the message out, and the message is the eternal one, so it's just.
Damn, Daniel, dude, that is extremely deep.
Yeah, no, we spent a lot of time on the concept development of it, and we spent most of our time on our pre-pro and design phase. We did a live action shoot for it, which was great, and it was all on green screen, so it's full CG environments and everything with footage composited in, but it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, that's so awesome that you're putting all that time into pre-pro and the story. Yeah, next time I do a big, CG project like that, I've promised myself that I'm not just gonna jump right into making the pretty stuff,
Yeah, no, I usually I like to spend like 75% of the time in pre-pro, and that makes production just fly, because I've done the opposite, and it's not that it doesn't work, you just end up burning so many resources because you're pushing it that much harder. With design, it's much easier to turn around and make iterations. You haven't woven something so tight that when you undo a thread that it falls apart. In production, it can tend to be a rabbit hole if you don't go in with a very, very clear defined plan.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us, man. It's so great to meet you. You're such an awesome, nice, humble dude. And yeah, keep kicking ass. And I look forward to seeing you at future conventions and stuff like that. All right. Octane Jesus and Jake Ferguson, aka Jake Ferguson, signing off.